So as you can see, here is the characteristics of my laptop. I'm running an Intel Core i7 with 2.60 gigahertz and I have 8 gigabytes of RAM. This can work for you even if you are running the Intel Core i5 or you have 4 gigabytes of RAM. So watch the video so you understand the full step. And if you want to check now my graphics card, as you can see, if you go to display adapters, you can see I'm running the Intel HD graphics card of 520. I don't have any powerful graphics card here, as you can see. So in this video, I will guide you on the settings and the things you have to do so your laptop does not end up like this when you are actually editing your videos using your low-end PC in DaVinci Resolve. After this video, you actually know the settings that you have to set correctly and you still run DaVinci Resolve smoothly on your low-end PC. If you have 4 to 8 gigabytes of RAM, no GPU, or your system lags a lot when you are editing in DaVinci Resolve, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then this video is for you. But before we get started, let's look at one of the mistakes most people make using their low-end PC is that they just open DaVinci Resolve, input their videos, and start editing. This is not actually a big problem or a mistake if you have a good GPU or you have a good system to run DaVinci Resolve smoothly. But this actually becomes a problem if you have a low-end PC. This is because the default settings in DaVinci Resolve are very heavy for a low-end PC, and it can even end up frying your PC or your motherboard. So the first thing we have to do is we have to arrange these settings to fit our low-end PC. Now the first thing you have to do is help your PC allocate more resources or power when you are using DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to explain some few steps you can use to achieve this now. Now, the first thing you have to do under this point is to close all other background applications when you are using DaVinci Resolve. This helps your PC to focus all the energy and power directly on DaVinci Resolve. Now, the next thing you have to do also is you come to where you have DaVinci Resolve on the application. You are going to right click, you scroll and come down where it says properties, you click on it, and now on this properties section, we are going to adjust two settings here. So follow closely. Now here you come on the compatibility tab, you click on it, then you scroll down where it says run this program as an administrator. You are going to click on this and then you click on apply. I've already done it. That is why it's showing now like this. This tick is there now like that. Then also what you have to do again is you come where it says shortcut, click on it, then you scroll down, you see where it has run. I've set mine to maximize. That is how you are going to set yours. So you just click on this drop down menu. Normally it's going to be set to normal windows, but what I want you to do is set this to maximize. All these points that I've explained, when you set it to maximize, all these points that I've explained will just help your PC to allocate more resources and power to DaVinci Resolve. So you have to do all these settings. You click on apply and you click on OK. These are the settings you have to do even before you start DaVinci Resolve. So now let's open DaVinci Resolve and let's continue the settings. Best settings for low-end PCs. In this section, we are going to talk about one thing only, which is reducing the amount of work that your PC or your computer has to do. This is because by default, DaVinci Resolve is set to run on high-end PCs. And if you are running your low-end PC on DaVinci Resolve, it's just like using a small engine to power a truck. So the first setting under this section is going to be the memory and the GPU setting. Now to locate this, you come up here and you click on DaVinci Resolve. You come to preference and you click on memory and GPU. When you click on this memory and GPU now, you have this dashboard. Like I showed you earlier, I had 8 gigabytes of RAM and I have set my own limit resolve memory usage to 5.8 gigabytes. So you have to set your own depending on your RAM that you have. You have to set it to something lower so it does not use all your RAM. Then after doing that, what you have to do again is you come where it says GPU configuration, and then if you don't have a GPU like I don't have, you just come and you click on auto, and that is all. You just come and click on save. When you click on save like that, DaVinci Resolve is going to prevent your computer from using all resources or all your RAM when you are actually using it. This setting is actually important because if DaVinci Resolve uses all your RAM, then your system starts lagging or freezes. Also, if your GPU is weak and you keep forcing it, it can actually slow things down when you are editing. So in this point, we're actually telling DaVinci Resolve not to overwhelm our computer, and we actually allocate only small resources of which it can work with. So the next setting we have to set properly is the timeline resolution. Now to locate this, you actually come to settings, you come to master settings, you click on it, then you come to timeline resolution, you click on it, and then you choose something lighter like 720p, you click on it. Then after setting like that, you just come now and click on save. This step is actually very important because now your computer has less pixels to work with, and less pixels actually means it has less work. And when it has less work, it actually means it can run smoothly while you are working on DaVinci Resolve. Just picture it like this. If you are working in 1080p, it's like you are carrying 4 bags, more load, more stress. While if you are working on 720p, it's like you're carrying 2 bags. An important tip now is you can later export in 20p when you are exporting. Now the next setting we have to set properly is the playback setting. So you come to the video on your timeline, you right click on it, and then you come to proxy media, and then you click on generate proxy media. Now it's going to take its time. It's going to generate now a proxy media for your video. One downside of generating proxy media is that it actually creates a very large file size which is going to be stored in your computer. But another advantage, quick advantage, is that this large file size which is going to be stored in your computer is going to be used as a small file size in DaVinci Resolve when you're working directly. I don't know if that makes sense. It's going to create a large file size which will be stored in your computer, not in DaVinci Resolve, but it's actually going to provide a small and lighter file size which you can use directly in DaVinci Resolve. Now, when that is done, if you want to actually know that your video is already been proxied, you come up here, you click on it, and then you come to preferred proxies. When you click on preferred proxies now, if your video has already gone through the proxy process, it's going to create that PXY as you see there. So now after doing that, you come to the playback menu up here, you click on it, and then you come to timeline playback resolution, you click on half or quarter depending on your system. You can click on half. Then you come to render cache and you click on smart. Then now what this will actually do is that when you are editing your video, when you drag your video now on the timeline and you actually start editing, it's going to create a preview that is actually very fluid and low quality. But this is not going to affect your export. When you're exporting your video, it's not going to affect the quality. It only helps you now to work with this small file size that you can easily edit directly in DaVinci Resolve. But when you are exporting, it's going to export in a high quality. And then in the render part section that you just set to smart simply means if you have something heavy that you have done inside DaVinci Resolve, it is actually going to render that particular section. So when you are editing, it does not lag. Now, as we are talking of reducing file size, what you can actually do in addition to what we have just done is to come on your video file and right click on it, and then you come to generate optimized media. This is actually going to help also to generate a small file size that you can continue using in addition to what we have just done, which is creating the proxies. But after doing all these settings, most people will still realize that their PC still lacks when they are recording, when they are editing in DaVinci Resolve. This is because they're actually not following the right workflow, which will not lack when editing in DaVinci Resolve. And that is what I'm going to actually be explaining in this next point. Editing workflow that won't lack. This is where many people mess up terribly. This is because no matter the good settings you have, if you don't follow the right workflow, your system is still going to lag and freezes. So the first point under this section is you use proxies and optimize media first. Here's what I mean. You don't have to just import your clips into DaVinci Resolve, then you start editing, then later you notice that it is lacking, then you want to create proxies. That is not actually the right way to go. What you actually have to do is, after you import your videos, you first create proxies before you drag your video to the timeline and you actually start editing. That is the right workflow to follow. This is a very good workflow because you actually avoid or prevent the lag from the beginning rather than trying to fix it later in the video. Now, the next point under this section is avoid heavy effects early. So you have to avoid things like color grading, fusion, or anything that has to do with heavy effects. I know some tutorials that you have been following says that when you import your video into DaVinci Resolve, the first thing you have to do is color grading. But those people usually have high-end PCs and very powerful GPUs. You that is on a low-end PC, that is not actually the workflow that you have to follow. Because if you do it like that from the beginning, your computer will start struggling in all the processes and all the load that it is actually doing. So what you have to do is you input your videos, create your proxies, split, edit, do everything. And when you are done, then you can now come to color grade and then you export your videos. Now, the next thing you can do is use very simple timelines. Avoid too much layers, too much transition, too much of everything. Avoid it, limit it. This is because the too much of the things that you are adding is actually going to require enough processing power, which is going to lead to your computer slowing down. Now, the next thing you can do is actually use render in place. What this will actually do is it's going to turn your heavy clip into a pre-rendered version. Now, to actually do this, what you have to do is you come to the section that you want to pre-render, you right click on it, then you scroll and you come to where it says render in place, and you select the folder where you actually want to save it, then you select and it is going to render. This is very important step because if you do it now like this, then your computer will not have to recalculate this effect anytime that you are playing it. It is only going to play the render which it has already done. So if you enjoyed the video, please just give it a like and share it to somebody who might need it. Subscribe for more editing tutorials.